How we doing, everyone? And welcome back to another edition of FSI's NHL DFS Preview Show. Coming off of a two-game wild slate with the Penguins jumping out to a 6-2 win. Excuse me. Yeah, did not see that coming. How about you, McKinley?
No, I mean, I don't think really many people did at all. Tampa Bay couldn't do anything. Obviously, the score looked a little bit more extreme than what it was, but I mean, it still was pretty bad. I don't know if it was the Stanley Cup hangover, the back-to-back Stanley Cup hangover, or what, but yeah, Tampa Bay just a dud. Against a Pittsburgh team with no Malkin, no Crosby, no Guentzel. I mean, possibly their three best players there. Just wouldn't be happy if I was a Lightning fan.
Right. There was at one point in the night where we got news that the Seattle Kraken were going to have all those players that were expected out. You know, they're going to be in, and Pittsburgh scores, and there goes all your Vasilevsky, shutout bonuses. And then, Tampa couldn't figure out how to put a puck on the net for what seemed like a quarter and a half. A quarter and a half. It was just, wild. But hey, that's opening night. That's what we expected. We tried to get ahead of it, but we should have been a little bit more on Pittsburgh. Although Zucker, I think, did fairly well. Maybe we should have took a little harder look at Pittsburgh line one. It was mentioned in our Discord breakdown, though. We did have the Rust line, and, we did have some thoughts on Pittsburgh over Seattle for some GBP plays, but just probably not enough in our own lines, going into the night. But we're going to talk for the Wednesday slate. We have 5 games, a couple of 6 goals, 3 to be exact. Exciting in Edmonton, so a lot to get to. Let's just kick this off. We're going to talk a little bit, probably game by game, and see what we can find out. Montreal, Toronto. Is Austin Matthews in, McKinley, or are we just rolling with Tavares and Marner?
It's just going to be Tavares and Marner. Toronto, Matthews is going to be out. So I'm still like the one piece I'm looking at. Okay, so I just had like 19 thoughts all at the exact same time. So Tavares, he's going to be the top guy. He's probably going to be the most owned guy for Toronto tomorrow. Looking at that center position, other than McDavid, there's not really anybody floating around him in that price range. That'd be too interested in. You got Zibanejad a little above him, but it's pretty much going to be Tavares. Richie's on that top line at wing. I think he's 3.8K. I don't know. He's not very expensive at all. But the one guy I do think we do have to talk about is Jason Spezza, and he's min price. He's playing on the 4th line, so that's not exciting at all. But he is at practice. He was with the top power play unit. He was skating with Tavares and Marner, and those guys on that top power play unit. So if we're talking about a team with a power play threat that they have at min price, I think that's definitely a value that could open up your lineup quite a bit.
Yeah, so Montreal, I would have to, if I want to go on to the other side here, they're a pretty tough team. Showed some defensive prowess in the playoffs. They made it quite far in their quest for a cup. Carey Price, I think it was a week ago, got rolled out for indefinitely with, I think, maybe some mental issues going on. A speedy recovery to him and whatever he may be going through. But I think that's kind of galvanized this group a little bit. I am a big narratives when it comes to DFS. That put the whole locker room on some type of family, bond. And I think Montreal comes out, plays Toronto tough. I mean, this is a typical rivalry in Canada, and Montreal seems to own the Maple Leafs when it comes to this rivalry. And I'm going to go ahead and call out the dud for Toronto tomorrow. No Matthews. I think I'm going to be on the Montreal side. So I'm going to go with Caulfield in line 1 with Toffoli and Nick Suzuki. Those guys played out a hell of a season last year. Goal scorer, I think Suzuki had over 30 goals last year. 22. He had over 50 points. He was a monster. Guy that I played quite a bit. And Caulfield, a rookie last year, found his way into that lineup, kind of changed things up for Montreal halfway through the year. But you can also have Druin and Josh Anderson, former Blue Jacket. I loved playing him. Or that breakaway. I think Montreal here going to be a big favorite of mine. Jeff Petrie for defenseman too, a guy that can shoot the puck. Big slap shot on Jeff Petrie. So I like Montreal as the contrarian play here. I think I would bet this line too for all you bettors out there that Toronto lays an egg. So after I saw Pittsburgh score 6, my GPP brain is going berserk. So I'm kind of feeling the GPPs tomorrow. But anything else to add on Montreal and that game in general?
No, not too much. I mean, they're fine for cash. Like their price isn't going to hurt you too bad. They're just kind of like mid price and everything. Nobody seems to really be standing out for me on that side.
Yeah. Montreal is not a team that can put up a lot of shots on target, so it's all points based. Next up, we'll have New York and Washington, the 7:30 TNT game. We got a 6-point total here. Washington is a -130. One of the last preseason games, so there's news to cover here, and make sure we have that before the game locks. New York, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I mean, that over/under is at 6. I don't know I don't see the goals happening. I could be completely wrong, but I think one piece on New York that I do have interest in is Capo Caco. 3.3K, super cheap. He's going to be skating on that second line with Panarin. So I think he's just way too cheap. He had a phenomenal preseason as well. He's in great form. There's just high hopes for this kid when he entered the league. So I think if I was going with New York, I'd probably be going with that secondary line with Panarin, with Kako, and Gauthier if he's in there. So what about you? Do you have much interest in this game?
Not really. If I did, I wouldn't have much interest in stacking and its own to game stack it, as they would say. I think Kako is a perfect one-off cheap winger that can put one in, and you don't have to really worry about making sure you get the assist attached to Kako. But I think Panarin would be the play. New York's a team that I like to target cheap defenders with. Keandre Miller is a guy that I like playing at 3,500. He's a guy that can put shots on target and block shots. He's a good combo piece. And if I'm playing Zibanejad, I always run it back with Adam Fox. Those are two players that I like to pair together. They play together on that first unit on the 5-on-5, and they play together on the first power play unit. Those guys seemingly go hand in hand. And if I was playing those two, then typically I'm going to play Kreider, or the other winger, I believe, is Lafreniere this year, and not Buchnevich. So I'm going to, that would be my interest in New York. And after the abysmal preseason I saw from Washington, Ovechkin was, I think, off of Washington in general. But, hey, it's the Caps, and I think they can run with anybody. Do you have any interest in Washington?
Maybe Eller. But we got to see how Ovechkin's feeling. He's day to day. He's not listed out or anything at the moment. But Eller, Kuznetsov, he's pretty cheap for center, honestly. He's priced right around there with Zegras and everything. So I think Kuznetsov could be a pretty popular. You got a 6 over/under on a top line guy who's on a favored team, at only 5.8K. I don't have it pulled up with me right now.
Bootsy or 5.6.
5.6. Yeah. So on most slates, if you get a 5.6 guy of Kuznetsov caliber, you're going to be jamming him in. But he's a guy, he's not going to give you much of a floor. You're going to really need that goal or the assist to really, kind of get to his value.
Yeah. We haven't gotten, a good idea about Samsonov or Vekinec. Man, I'm going to struggle with these names all year. But I think it's going to be Samsonov in net and Shesterkin for New York. I would actually have some interest in Shesterkin from a goalie side here. Get peppered with some shots, and he has winning upside here. So Igor is quite good. He's, rivaled with someone who could be a goalie one in the league in Georgiev. I wouldn't say that as a lock, but hey, he knows there's someone behind him. I think Igor is a decent goalie pick for tomorrow. All right, next up, let's roll this into Chicago and Colorado. Big news that we got today out of Colorado. Nathan MacKinnon hitting the COVID protocols, but we still have a 6 total, a 200-point favorite. Are you going to totally flip flop on Colorado, or is there more to it than we see?
I mean, with MacKinnon out, it absolutely bumps up Kadri just immensely. He is super cheap. We're talking about the top line center. It's still yet to be seen what the power play units are going to shake out. Who's going to take MacKinnon's spot on that top power play unit? We don't know that yet. But if Kadri's getting the top line with Landeskog and Rantanen, at his price tag, on a minus 210, 220 favorite, whatever it is, in that high of a total, you jam them in. So Kadri's got the nice two-way game. So he's able to block shots. He's able to, get on the score sheet as well. So I think it benefits Kadri the most. Do I think Colorado should be as massive as a favorite as they are? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Chicago added a lot of pieces over the summer. I'm curious to see what, they're going to look like. They added, Seth Jones and Jake McCabe, and, they got Fleury in net now. Tyler Johnson up top. They got Jonathan Taves back. I mean, they added a lot of, very quality or very good to great players. So I'm curious to see what they're going to be rolling out tomorrow.
Yeah, no kidding. I was kind of feeling that Chicago wouldn't be, the team to be in a good GPP spot. But now that I look over this roster and after I hear what you're saying, I kind of have to agree with Taves coming back. I think that's a big piece. We could see him match up with Kadri, kind of limit that top line center. And we could have DeBrincat running wild. I think he's a good scorer. Patrick Kane, another guy that could shoot on net. Seth Jones was added as well to this defense, a player that can put pucks on the net. He's really good on the power play. Haven't seen him in Columbus. I know how much he can lose the puck, though, so he could get a couple breakaways from Colorado. That was always his big fat spafu or whatever you want to call it. But Fleury added him in net. I didn't even think Lackanen was that bad, but yeah, 500 for Fleury. I can understand that GPP call tomorrow. With the MacKinnon news. Kemper has really struggled in preseason. I actually am getting on Chicago the more I'm looking over this game. How about this bet right here? You go Montreal, Chicago, and Anaheim. Get your three dogs right there. It's a good parlay.
I mean, go for it. I won't be signing up for it, but go for it.
Locking that in. No sense to add New York or Washington or Vancouver and Edmonton. That break you down as far as favorites. But Kirby Dach is still in this team too. I like the Chicago call here. I do think I could have some exposure to line one in Colorado, and maybe Kyle McCarr too. He's not bad for sure.
The Colorado defense is loaded. Absolutely loaded.
Yeah. Bram is only 2,500. That's a kid, with immense talent who can shoot and get block shots. Is he going to be running with the second power play?
Bramstrom? Is what you're saying? Who?
Bram. Bowen Bram, the youngster for.
Oh my goodness. Byram.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think he's on any power play unit.
Okay. Maybe it'll be Jack Johnson then. All right. Well, anything else to add on Colorado and Chicago?
No, it's a game with, two elite two-way centers. You got Jonathan Taves, he's known for his defensive capabilities as like the center forward, but Kadri's kind of the same way as well. So it's going to be tough, sledding up the middle with those two guys, but I do think that's still going to be quite a few goals in this game.
Yeah, coming from the wings, my guess as well. Next up, we have Vancouver and Edmonton. Connor McDavid is really good at hockey.
Really?
6.5 point total, -170 favorite for Edmonton. Last time I played Edmonton in the preseason, they absolutely went off on, I believe it was Seattle. I don't know. Whoever they were playing had a minor league team, and they went absolutely berserk.
And they went dry squad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love playing McDavid. He's my first player in cash almost every time he's on the slate.
For sure. And he really changed his game for DFS from his DFS standpoint last season. Prior to last year, he didn't really shoot that much. Like when he did shoot, he would score. It was insane. But he didn't really have much of a shot floor or anything. But last season, he really started to generate a floor, a guy who could get that 5-shot bonus. So, I mean, his DFS, shot through the roof. So McDavid, lock him in. He's great. He's incredible. He's going to be in my cash lines for sure.
Yeah. And the thing is about McDavid, you don't have to really pair him with any wingers because he's a guy kind of like Lionel Messi to soccer. Yeah. He could just take on 3 players and score and do it unassisted, or, you have the assist to the assist. And it's just okay, a guy throws it off the board, he grabs it off the board and then skates around 3 players and scores. I mean, that's typically how goals are. They aren't really set up by anyone. So he's a great player to play by himself. I don't mind him with Daniel Nurse, a guy I really love to play in defense. He tore it up in that last preseason slate. I know Tyson Barrie probably gets the power play time, but Nurse and McDavid are a good combo on the 5-on-5. I love playing those two together. It's funny, I have 2 of my favorite center defensemen on this slate with Zibanejad and Fox, and McDavid and Nurse. So I could see myself just loading up with Chicago wingers and cheap Anaheim players, and then just running my two center and defenseman stacks throughout my whole card of lineup. So Edmonton, it's probably not all one-sided here. They can give up goals at times. Mike Smith is quite good in goal, but Edmonton, Vancouver's pretty talented. Anyone you like for Vancouver?
Yeah, real quick, one more person I just want to bring up on Edmonton is Puljujarvi, skating top line with McDavid and Draisaitl, 4.4K. He could give you some nice salary relief. He's probably not going to be on the power play units with them, but still, anybody who's skating next to McDavid should be on your radar for DFS. But back on the other side with Vancouver, they're still missing Brock Besser. He's still on the IR. So a guy that I kind of turn towards is Chiasson, who's kind of taking his spot on that right wing there. 2.9. Let me check it out. I think it's 2.9K. Yeah, so he's been on that top line in warmups. So he's with Pettersson and JT Miller. I mean, 2.9K on a guy who is in the highest total game of the entire slate. He's also skating on the top power play unit with the guys. So I think Chiasson can make for a great value play from Vancouver. But this game's going to see some goals. Mike Smith, he had a fantastic season last year in net for Edmonton, but I don't know if I trust him yet. We'll see.
Well, cool thing about what Vancouver did in the offseason was getting Connor Garland, a guy that was from, guy played in Phoenix, really good goal scorer, and they're going to put him up there. They also got Ekman, Horvat. I really like him as a center. I think he's really cheap on his slate too, 4,800. Pairing him up with Connor Garland and Ekman Larson. You got Tyler Myers on that same defense line too. I think you're right. This is going to be a really, really high total game, and I think a lot of exposure to this game. If I don't go McDavid, I'm going to load up on a Vancouver crush spot, but I could see myself with a lot of game stacks of Vancouver and Edmonton trying to get the right pairing to kind of catch all the goals in this game. Kiesan, I love that call. That's a revenge narrative going right there against his former team right out the gates. And Niles Hoglander, a guy that a youngster that can score the puck. He shoots quite often. You know, there was at times where Vancouver was so banged up. That's all they really had. And he didn't disappoint. Him and Quinn Hughes, another defender on that team that's really good. Cheap, 4,800 for Quinn Hughes. Going to be on that top power play unit, and I love him. And this is going to be a very fun game to watch. Thankfully, it's on TV.
Yeah, if you're going to watch one game tomorrow, this is definitely the game to watch. It should be just back and forth, plenty of goals. I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's good on Vancouver, Edmonton. Next up, we have probably a game I'm too heavy on heading into tomorrow, and that is Winnipeg and Anaheim. The GPP brain is stewing on Zegras and Anaheim. I'm loving a little Anaheim and some John Gibson as well. I don't know. I'm either going to live and die by this call, but what are your thoughts on Anaheim?
I mean, I'm the cash guy, as you know. Like, I have zero interest in Anaheim. But GPP, roll with it. Nobody's going to be on them at all. We know, like, Zegras, his potential is incredible. So absolutely, go for it. But Winnipeg, they got Connor Hellebuyck in net, arguably the best goalie in the world. Some say Vasilevsky. I think it could be Hellebuyck. But then they kind of like shored up their defense over the offseason. They brought in Dylan. They brought in Nate Schmidt. They still got Morrissey there, Pionk. They got a pretty solid top two pairing there on D. They are on the road, So, but like, I don't know. I love the players from Winnipeg just in general, like guys like Kyle Connor and, Dubois. Dubois could be a great spot here for DFS, actually. The more I talk about him and Ehlers, you can combo them together. But I don't really have too much interest in this game. I can just see it being like kind of low scoring affair. Solid goalie defense from the Winnipeg side. Anaheim, they just don't have much offense. They're just going to kind of hang back. And I don't know. I don't have too much interest in this game personally, though.
Yeah, whoever is matched up against Getzlaf, go right ahead. If it's Dubois tomorrow, or even if it's Stastny, I mean, Scheifele being out kind of throws this all into a different little, and that's part of the reason why I'm getting a lean on Anaheim. No Scheifele, but yeah, Dubois. If he's going up against Getzlaf, you're probably gonna get some goals, some sniped goals with Kopp and Ehlers behind him. Raquel, Comtois. I mean, those are some cheaper options to pair with Zegras if they're going to be on that top line together. You're going to have to wait for lines to come out. Max Jones. I love this Anaheim team, and I love that call. I'm betting a parlay, so
do it.
They're going to bringing home that parlay, and hopefully it cashes well. Just for you know what? I don't have the app on this, but I was going to look up what the book, but I don't have that up. Oh well. All right. Anything else to add on that game?
Nope. Pretty much it. Not much to say on that one.
All right. So give me your favorite goalie. I mentioned a few. Who are your leans tomorrow?
I'd probably in cash. Connor Hellebuyck would probably be my favorite guy. I know going against your Anaheim there, but he's the best, in a vacuum, the best goalie on the slate, and he's probably facing the worst team on the slate as well. Combine those two things, and I think he should be in for a great game. But like I said, I mentioned this in the previous video yesterday, how you could have this great goalie and a great matchup, but if Anaheim only shoots the puck like 18 times and manage to score like once or twice, it kind of hurts his value. You kind of want to get goalies who are going to be seeing a lot of shots. So Hellebuyck, he's my favorite, but if I don't land on him, and if I land on somebody like Campbell instead, or Mike Smith or whoever, maybe not Mike Smith, but you know what I mean. Just a different goalie. I don't lock in goalie first ever. It's just kind of where I land, and if I'm okay with it, and I love the rest of my line. Let's ride and play the goalie roulette. What about you? Who are you on?
All right. I gave you guys Shesterkin, Fleury, and Gibson. I know those three are all on the road, but that's just my initial gut feeling here for how this slate's going to go. I expect some more madness. This is NHL DFS, right? All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening in. As always, you can check us out on our YouTube page, Fantasy Sports Insight. You can get to our website, fsidfs.com, and in that, you can subscribe to our NHL package. You can get those cores. You can get our breakdown sheet, and then the more views, the more likes, the more comments, the more participation from you guys, the more we will be able to get this content out to you. So support us in doing the things that we want to do for you, and that is give you the content you need. So help us out with some activity on the page and subscribe. Guys, thank you. You can follow me on Twitter at TKNation47. That is McKinley_412. Enjoy your evening, gentlemen. Good luck and have fun.